Good morning everyone. This is Chandrakala. Today we will start second section of our chapter number 11, that is change of state and latent heat. Most of the things we have already learned in our previous classes. Some new things we will learn here. So first of all, we know that matter forms in 5 states, that is solid, liquid, gas, fourth, plasma, and fifth, Bose-Einstein condensate. Here, this you might have learned with the name of BEC, so that same BEC. So here we will study only about 3 forms of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas. This is not in our topic and this is not in our topic. So basic things about solid, liquid and gases, we know that in solids the attraction forces are maximum and intermolecular separation is minimum. Similarly, in liquids the attraction force is less than solids and the separation is more than solids. Similarly, in gases the attraction force is less than solids and liquids, and intermolecular space is more than solids and liquids. Now we have 2 more states here. Plasma, that means some charged particles which has a very large amount of kinetic energy, even they cannot hold themselves here, so they are found in universe at many places, but still we have many application of it, so it is useful for us obviously. And similarly, BEC means if we can reduce the temperature up to 0 Kelvin at a very low temperature, the kinetic energy of particles or molecules becomes almost zero. That means we can say their motion or their vibration almost ceases. Again I will repeat, in physics we never say zero, almost negligible only. Okay, so after that, one more basic thing that we know about them is, we know that we can convert solids into liquid and then we can convert liquid into gas. Similarly, we can convert liquid into solid and then gas into liquid. And we know that some materials are such that when they are heated, they are directly converted from solid to gas. Similarly, when you cool them down, they will be converted from gas to solid. Name of the process also we know, when a solid converts into liquid, that is known as melting. Similarly, when a liquid converts into solid, that is known as freezing. When liquid converts into vapor, or you can say gas, that is known as vaporization. Similarly, when the gas converts into liquid, that is known as condensation. And when the solid directly converts into gas, that is known as sublimation. And when the gases are directly converted into solids, that is known as solidification. These all things we have learned in our previous classes. Now here we are learning this chapter for one important concept, that during all this process we have to specify a particular temperature and pressure. That means right now whatever we will study, we will consider that the pressure remains constant, that is everything we are conducting at 1 atmospheric pressure only. Our first topic is melting and freezing. Melting and freezing. We know that the process in which when the heat energy is absorbed and a solid changes into liquid, that process is known as melting. That means on absorption of heat, when a solid converts into liquid, this process is known as melting, and the temperature at which this process takes place is known as melting point. Okay, similarly, if we will discuss for freezing, we will say that when a liquid converts into solid by release of heat, or you can say liberation of heat, then this process is known as freezing, and the temperature at which all these things happen is known as freezing point. Freezing point. Now you see, in both these things we have mentioned point. Point means the temperature is constant, and this is the important thing which we have to take care here. That means this process takes place at constant temperature. Similarly, here also everything is happening at constant temperature. That means by when a solid absorbs heat and converts from solid to liquid at a constant temperature, that process is known as melting, and that particular temperature is known as melting point. Similarly, when a liquid liberates or release any amount of heat and converts into liquid solid at a particular constant temperature, that is known as freezing point. That means from here we can conclude that during the change of state of matter, during change of state, temperature remains constant. Temperature remains constant. That means temperature does not change. That means if you are having ice at 0 degrees Celsius and if you are heating it, then the ice will convert into water, but when you observe the temperature of the water, it will also be 0 degrees Celsius. That means until your whole ice will be converted into water, temperature will not increase. When your all ice will be converted into water and still if you are heating it, then its temperature will increase. Okay, that means during melting as well as freezing, the temperature remains constant. Freezing means just reverse of this is also true. During freezing also the temperature remains constant. Okay, for pure substance the melting point and freezing points are same. Obviously that means if the impurities are not there, because the amount of energy absorbed in this process will be equal to the amount of energy liberated in this process. Both amount of energies are same. For example, if here you need 80 kilogram, suppose here you see, if you need 80 joule of energy to convert particular ice, some amount of ice into water, then here you need 80 joule of energy absorbed. That means the ice will absorb the energy 80 joule and convert into water. Now if you want to convert water back into ice, then you have to release same 80 joule of energy. That means the amount of energy absorbed will be equal to amount of energy liberated only in the case of pure substance, because impurities affect melting point, freezing point, boiling point, everything. So we are talking only about pure substance. Our next topic is heating curve. Heating curve of ice. Okay, that means we are talking about melting. Obviously if we will heat the ice, it will be converted into water. So here one graph we have to plot. Okay, that means here this we can consider origin. On one axis we have taken time and on another axis we have taken temperature. Okay, here 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 120 seconds, 150 seconds, and here some particular temperature you can take it 10, 20, 30, you can also take 5, 10, 15, that is your choice. Okay, so here what we have done, we have taken some ice in a test tube and then we have started heating it. Okay, then we have kept a thermometer inside those between those ice cubes so that we can measure the temperature whether it is increasing or not. And here the timing is taken 30 seconds, 60 seconds. That means we will take our reading after every half minute. That means after 30 seconds we will take the reading whether the temperature has changed or not. Okay, so the observation is when the obtained curve is somewhat like this. Okay, that means this is the curve. That means we can divide our curve in two parts. Two parts means one we are having AB and one we are having BC. This is curve. So that means after every 30 seconds we have checked the temperature with the help of thermometer and we have observed that at 0 degrees Celsius, this is 0 degrees Celsius, that means your ice will be initially at 0 degree Celsius. So after 30 seconds also the temperature of the ice was 0 degrees Celsius and it was melting. After 60 seconds also it was melting, converting into water, but still the temperature was 0 degrees Celsius. Continuously up to here, the temperature of the ice was 0 degrees Celsius and at point B, whole of this ice has been converted into water. That means initially we were having ice but now we are having water. But the fact is our ice was also at 0 degrees Celsius and at this point the water is also at 0 degree Celsius. But whole of the ice has been converted into water. That means what? That means during melting or during change of state or during melting, temperature remains constant. Temperature does not increase or decrease. And if further also you will continue to heat the water, then its temperature will obviously increase until its boiling point, and then at boiling point again it will be constant. But that's not our topic. So here this heating curve for ice represents that during melting, temperature does not increase even though you are giving heat, but still that heat is utilized in breaking down the traction bonds between the particles and increase the separation. Okay, so this is the heating curve for ice. Our next topic is change in volume on melting. Obviously, we know that all objects or materials expand on heating. So here also during melting, generally the materials expand, or you can say matter expands. But there are some exceptions. For example, ice. It contracts on heating. The reason is anomalous expansion, okay, of water. That means you can say non-uniform expansion of water during heating, and same is true for cooling also. That means here we have an exception, that is water, or you can say ice, due to its non-uniform behavior. Otherwise during melting, or you can say during heating, all the materials or all the substance expands. Then effect of pressure on melting point. That means if we will change pressure, right now we have said that all our readings we have considered at constant pressure, that is 1 atmospheric pressure. But what happens if we will vary pressure? So here the important thing is melting point is directly proportional to pressure. That means if you will increase if you will increase pressure, then the melting point will increase. This is the normal condition. Normal condition means for those materials which expands on heating, they are the normal materials na. So that in that condition the melting point will increase, but it is opposite in the case of inversely proportional to pressure, or you can say pressure is inversely proportional to melting point. That means if you will increase the pressure, the melting point will decrease. This is for those substances who contract or which contract on heating, right? That means normally for normal states, for normal materials or substance which expands on heating, on increasing pressure, melting point increases. But for those substance which contract on heating, for them the melting point is inversely proportional to pressure. That means if you will increase the pressure, melting point will decrease. Okay, then the next thing is effect of impurities. Okay, and if we will add impurities to our object means we are here talking only about solids and liquids. Okay, either we will show the melting or we will show the freezing. So right now we are talking about melting. So if we will add impurities to the material or the substance, then its melting point decreases. When we add some impurities to pure substance, the melting point will decrease. Here one example is given, which is very important example. Most of the time it is asked in the exams. So it is given for the melting point of ice. If we will add some salt to it to prepare kulfis or ice creams generally which we use, then its melting point decreases. For example, 0 degrees Celsius to minus 22 degrees Celsius. Now from here you know that the substance which is having 0 degrees Celsius has more amount of heat, whereas the substance which has minus 22 degrees Celsius temperature, it will have less amount of heat. Okay, so if you have prepared ice cream by adding the salt, if you will not add the salt, then your ice cream will melt at 0 degrees Celsius itself. That means it will melt very fast in a very less time. Okay, but if you have added some salt to your ice cream, then its melting point has been decreased to minus 22 degrees Celsius. That means before melting it will have to release a large amount of heat energy. So obviously that means in this condition your ice cream will be in freezed form for longer time as compared to here. That's why during formation of kulfis and ice creams we add some salt to it, just to decrease its melting point, so that it should not melt very fast. It should take a larger time to melt down. Our next topic is vaporization. that we know. You can say vaporization and condensation also, because both are same process. That means both are related with each other. So you can write here condensation also. So that means you know that when a liquid is converted by absorbing some amount of heat is converted into gas, this process is known as vaporization. Again we will write the same thing, that is constant temperature. As we have said that during the change of state the temperature will not increase, so from liquid to gas this is also a change of state, so here also the temperature remains constant. Okay, so and the temperature at which this process take place, that is known as boiling point, because if a liquid has to convert into gas it will have to boil. So that point is known as boiling point. And same thing we can say for condensation also. When gas release or liberate some amount of energy, then it gets converted into liquid. That's also at constant temperature, and that temperature at which this all things will take place is known as condensation point of vapor, or you can say simply condensation point, no problem. So in both the conditions the temperature will remain constant, and the next thing is the amount of heat energy observed here will be equal to amount of heat energy gained here. In the case of a pure substance, same things are here. Now here we are converting liquid into gas, that means we have to again see a curve, that is heating curve for water. Water is a liquid, so same here we will learn heating curve for water. Here also we have done the same thing. We have taken some water and then we have taken reading with the help of thermometer after every 30 seconds. That means again almost half a minute. Here we have taken time, and on this axis we have taken temperature. Okay, you can take 10, 20, or you can take 20, 40 also, because we will need a temperature up to 100 or above 100. Okay, so suppose here it is 100 and here it is 120 degrees Celsius. Okay, so here we have taken temperature and here is the timing. That means we have taken water in a container and we have started heating it. Okay, so initially we have noticed that the temperature of the water will increase. Here we have started curve from 20 because we have considered room temperature as 20. That means if you will put water in your room, then that water must have the temperature of room only, na? So normal temperature we have considered that initially the water was at 20 degrees Celsius, then we have started heating it, so its temperature started increasing, but when it reaches to 100 degrees Celsius it became constant for a very long time. So here also we have two parts of our curve, one is AB and one is BC. Okay, so here the change of state is not taking place, so the temperature is increasing, but from here onwards when the temperature of the water will reach to 100 degrees Celsius, the water will start converting into vapor. That means the liquid will start converting into gas. That means your boiling process, or you can say vaporization process, has been started. So during the vaporization, that means at this temperature it was in the form of water, and at here it will be in the form of water vapor. That means until your whole water will be converted into water vapor, the temperature will not increase, it will remain 100 degrees Celsius only. That means again this thing proves that during the change of state of matter temperature does not increase, even though it is consuming heat, but still the temperature does not increase, it remains constant. Same things which we have learned for melting, same things we have to learn here also. That means to change in volume. Same thing on boiling. That means again you are giving heat. Boiling means also heating, because melting means if you want to melt something you have to give heat to it. Similarly for boiling also we have to give heat. That means if you are heating something then they must expand. So during boiling all the liquids expands, or in simple words you can say during heating all the materials or all the substance expands. So same thing is here. Okay, now we will learn some effects of pressure and impurities. As we have learned for melting, we will learn here for boiling also, on boiling point. So here again same thing is, boiling point is directly proportional to pressure. That means on increasing pressure, boiling point will also increase. We have many practical application for here also, and two examples are given, and both examples are very important. The first example is given about pressure cooker, which we are using every day at our home. So the use of this fact is used here in the case of pressure cooker. The work, as from here it is clear that the name is pressure cooker. That means inside a cooker the pressure increases, which will increase the boiling point, and that will increase the amount of heat energy. See, when we prepare anything in the cooker, especially we use it for preparing curries, that means vegetables. So the vegetable itself contains, raw vegetables itself, they contains a large amount of water, and externally also we add some water to it for cooking. Then when we cover the lid of the cooker, after that inside the cooker pressure has been created, and the pressure increases, obviously more than the normal room pressure. So when the pressure will increase, then the boiling point of water will also increase. We know that generally the boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. Generally water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. But if you have kept it into pressure cooker, then this temperature becomes nearly 120 degrees Celsius to 125 degrees Celsius. That means nearly 20 to 25 degrees Celsius temperature has been increased. Now you see, if one material is at 100 degrees Celsius, one material is at 125 degrees Celsius, which material will have more amount of heat? That means if they are, see, this is also water, we are talking only about water, and this is also water. So this water is at 100 degrees Celsius and this water is at 125 degrees Celsius. Which water will have more amount of heat? Obviously this water will have a very large amount of heat as compared to this one. That means this water, which is boiling at 125 degrees Celsius, can provide more heat to your vegetables, more heat energy, because it has more heat energy. So it can provide more heat energy to your vegetables, and your vegetables will be prepared or cooked faster than this case. So that's why if we will increase the boiling point, the cooking of food will take place faster. Same thing is given here. That means for mountains or hilly areas, it is difficult to cook food on them. Difficult to cook food. The reason is, we know that as altitude increases, pressure decreases. This we have learned in last classes. As altitude increases, pressure decreases. So instead of 100 degrees Celsius, the water will start boiling less than 100 degrees Celsius. Suppose 80 degrees Celsius. Now you see, this water has more amount of heat as compared to this one. That means if the water would have boiled up to 100 degrees Celsius, it could give more amount of heat energy to your vegetables, but now it is able to give less amount of heat energy. That's why it's very difficult, or we can say it takes a very long time to cook food on hilly areas or on mountain areas. Now, as we have seen in the melting, we will see the effect of impurities on boiling point also. We have seen for the melting, same things we will see here. That means on adding impurities, boiling point increases, and that's why we have a practical application of this, that while boiling of the vegetables, we add salt to them, because the salt will increase the boiling point, and if the boiling point will increase, then the amount of heat energy contained in that particular thing will increase, and that can provide more amount of heat energy. And obviously the vegetables or whatever we are preparing, that can be prepared in less time. That means just to provide the sufficient heat, we add salt as impurities while preparing food. Rest of the things we will see in next class. Thank you.